A hurricane is bringing a lot of rain to parts of the US over the next couple days. Severe thunderstorms are going to hit the northern plains just in time for 4th of July, and a tropical storm might be about to form this weekend near Florida. There's a lot happening, so in this video, I'm going to show you the latest tropical weather update plus a super important 4th of July weather forecast for the US. Alright, so here's the hurricane we're talking about, Hurricane Flossie. As of the latest advisory, the maximum sustained winds are down to 100 miles per hour. It was a Category 3, now it's a Category 2, and it's going to be weakening over the next 24 hours down to a post-tropical storm pretty quickly. And a minimum central pressure is 974 millibars, and it's moving northwest at 9 miles per hour. And then there's another disturbance with a 50% chance of formation in the next 7 days, and that could become another hurricane after Flossie. And here's the latest cone from the NHC. You have a hurricane with winds of about 80 miles an hour is pretty much what's expected in the next 12 hours by tonight. And then by 11 a.m. Thursday, we have a tropical storm. By 11 p.m. Thursday, we have tomorrow night a post-tropical cyclone with tropical storm force winds, but by the time we get to 4th of July, it's going to be a post-tropical cyclone with winds that are down to tropical depression strength, so only like about 30-mile-an-hour winds. So this is weakening pretty quickly, and even you can tell in the latest satellite imagery, the main part of the hurricane is it's getting sheared, it's going over cooler water that's really whittling down what's left of the hurricane. But the other thing is, notice there's a lot of thunderstorms kind of blowing up across parts of western Mexico, and this is that tropical moisture around Flossie that's actually being funneled northward, and so we're going to have that surge of showers and thunderstorms, kind of monsoon activity that's even going to be reaching the southwestern U.S. It really already is right now, and it's going to lead to a lot of rain. And here's the HRRR model showing a lot of that monsoon activity and that tropical moisture really surging into northern Mexico and the southwestern U.S. Tonight, we're already seeing, over the next few hours, a lot of thunderstorm activity across Arizona, even mostly Arizona, but even Nebraska and Utah to some extent, even the Sierra Nevada mountains in California. But a lot of that activity continues all the way into tonight with showers and thunderstorms, potentially with some strong winds and a little bit of severe weather potential with it, isolated severe weather potential, but mostly just heavy rain from these thunderstorms. It actually comes back to a slightly lesser extent. A lot of that moisture is toning down with Hurricane Flossie, but even going into tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, you still see a lot of thunderstorm activity, showers and thunderstorms across Arizona, even reaching, of course, the Four Corners region, all the way into Wyoming, and there's actually some other weather systems that are going to be bringing in showers and thunderstorms into the northwestern U.S. going into 4th of July, and you could see even tomorrow night, Thursday night, still looking at showers across Nevada, Utah, even Wyoming, and Colorado before the monsoon part of things tones down on 4th of July. And all this heavy rain could lead to flooding with over 1 to 2 inches of rain in some of the heaviest thunderstorms, especially in Arizona, where you could see a lot of areas seeing maybe a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of rain. Even in Phoenix, potentially seeing maybe 1/10 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch. It just depends on where these thunderstorms actually hit. But even further south, you can see areas seeing a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of rain, but some areas seeing a 1/2 inch to an inch or even more of rain. So definitely some flooding would even be possible with this. But you also see rain across Nevada, Utah, even New Mexico, and also Colorado. So definitely rain across the southwestern U.S., but it is focused on Arizona, especially this evening, going into tonight, and then again tomorrow. But for your 4th of July forecast across the U.S., we're actually looking at several things happening. The big thing is going to be severe weather, but kind of what's setting this up is that you have a trough right here going across the northern plains. And then you have another trough kind of area of low pressure moving into the Pacific Northwest, and that's going to be bringing rain. But the big thing is going to be that severe weather, but a lot of the U.S. is going to be seeing mostly good weather for 4th of July, except for some areas that are going to see some significant storms. And here's the severe weather outlook for July 4th. The SPC has a marginal risk of severe weather across parts of the northern plains like North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, part of Wisconsin, and far northeastern Nebraska. And this could actually get upgraded to a slight risk because there is some decent severe weather potential with this. And so that severe weather outlook will most likely expand a bit. And then there is an isolated thunderstorm chance across a big part of the U.S., but for the most part, it should be there should be mostly good weather, but there are going to be opportunities for thunderstorms, so definitely something to watch for. But the severe weather across the northern plains, it could be significant. You have CAPE values over 3,000 joules, even some places over 4,000 joules of CAPE in the late afternoon, kind of going to the early evening time frames. That is significant instability. Now, the shear is not really there, but the instability part is pretty significant. The forecast models are pinpointing severe weather really starting, severe thunderstorms starting up across parts of North Dakota, South Dakota, all the way down into Nebraska around 4 p.m. Central Time. And then it continues going into 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Central Time. A lot of these storms, it looks mostly linear. It's probably going to be strong winds is going to be the main thing, but definitely some hail, maybe a couple tornadoes, but not really looking like a big tornado event right now. But winds, hail, and heavy rain is going to be a thing. So that could be a problem. Even going into 8 p.m. across the Dakotas, then this starts moving into Minnesota, and then still storms going through Nebraska as well. It starts toning down once you get later into the night, but still some storms ongoing overnight. And temperatures are actually going to be okay. Like, most of the U.S. is going to see near average to even below average temperatures. You see more below average, especially across the Pacific Northwest, where you're going to see more rain, more storms, but warm out ahead of this severe weather event in Minnesota and Wisconsin, especially, even the Dakotas, with temperatures 10 to 20 degrees above average. So that heat and that instability is definitely going to be there for potential severe weather. And here's a look at the simulated precipitation kind of looks like on 4th of July for around 11 a.m. Pacific time. You have rain across Idaho, Montana, places like that. But then notice what happens going to the later afternoon into the evening. You see these severe thunderstorms really blowing up across the northern plains, especially North Dakota, South Dakota, going down into Nebraska is where a lot of the storms are going to be. But then also notice what's happening as this will start moving eastward going into the evening and overnight. But notice what's happening down in Florida. There's also going to be a lot of rain down there. So even though most of the U.S. is going to have some good weather, barbecues are going to get flooded in Florida, in the northern plains with some of these storms. Florida is getting some heavy rain, and this could actually turn into a tropical system this weekend. The NHC has this as a disturbance with a 40% chance of tropical cyclone formation in the next 7 days, and it could actually try to become a tropical or subtropical depression this weekend or early next week, kind of off the coast of the southeastern U.S. Here's a look at the GFS model with that. Start seeing that low pressure system really tomorrow night starting to develop near Florida, but then it starts moving kind of off the coast of the southeastern U.S. on 4th of July. But then Saturday, July 5th, you have that low pressure system trying to start organizing offshore off the coast of South Carolina. You have by 11 p.m. kind of overnight Saturday night, you have it's starting to organize, and it kind of just meanders around, but it definitely has some potential to organize into a tropical or subtropical system, if it can stay over water. That's going to be the main thing, because the upper level winds are actually not a problem. They're actually going to be pretty light. They actually lighten up over time going into Saturday and Sunday. The winds really just completely drop off, and so there's not going to be any shear or anything like that for the system. And even the sounding shows 3 knots of shear. That's nothing. Also, the moisture is going to be favorable too. Then we also have sea surface temperatures in the low to mid 80s, around 83, 84 degrees. That's also favorable. The only thing that's not really favorable is going to be the MJO. It looks pretty much neutral to unfavorable over the Atlantic, but we can see storm systems happening even in an unfavorable MJO phase. So that's not necessarily going to be a problem either. And the GEFS ensembles are also showing it too. They're showing, even on July 4th, the ensembles are showing a low pressure system over Florida trying to get going. And then it definitely starts looking more likely going into July 5th and July 6th off the southeastern U.S. before that kind of starts fading out by July 7th, or potentially moving further out into the Atlantic. But it actually still shows potential even all the way to July 9th. And the Euro ensembles are also showing it too. So it's not just the GEFS. The Euro ensembles are also showing potential too. Not quite as much as the GFS, but it's still there. And then that extra disturbance in the Eastern Pacific, that is actually potentially going to become a hurricane after Flossie. The GFS model showing even all the way as soon as July 6th. We could already have a major hurricane in the Eastern Pacific. So that would be a very rapidly intensifying storm, because they're showing pretty much on July 5th it's a tropical storm. So even a tropical depression potentially. They're showing July 4th potentially a tropical depression. Then July 5th maybe intensifying into a weak tropical storm, and then in basically 24 hours, it goes from a tropical storm to a Cat 2, maybe even a Cat 3 hurricane, and then we get to July 6th, and 964 millibars, potentially a Category 3 major hurricane in the Eastern Pacific. Then it intensifies all the way down into the 950s, potentially 954 millibars. That's a very powerful hurricane, but it is out in the middle of the Eastern Pacific, so it's not going to cause any direct land impacts if it stays offshore like this. But the thing is it's going to be moisture being pushed northward around the hurricane, that monsoon moisture surge going into the southwestern U.S. That's going to be something to watch, and it does show thunderstorm activity reaching Arizona again. Going into July 7th, looking at more thunderstorm activity in Arizona, and this stays a very powerful hurricane for a while, going all the way into July 9th until we get to July 10th. Then, of course, it moves out into those colder water temperatures and quickly weakens down, but then notice what happens. There's potentially another storm system behind that, and it's really pulling even more moisture further north, really surging it towards the southwestern U.S. So that's definitely going to be something to watch, even not for direct hurricane impacts to the U.S. or not necessarily even hitting Mexico. Even if these storms stay offshore, it's going to be funneling moisture into Mexico and into the southwestern U.S. Throughout July, potentially. So that's definitely something to watch. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked this video, please be sure to hit the like button if you haven't already. Share the video and make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications for more weather updates on the tropics. Thanks for watching. Extreme Weather Zone out.